Part 2 of our recent journey with Kath was to visit Jordan and an encounter with the Petra Desert Marathon. As I said in my previous video, such a journey to this part of the world may seem inadvisable. However, even today, Safe Travel, the New Zealand Government's travel advisory service, advises to exercise increased caution, which applies to many destinations you wouldn't normally hesitate to visit. In all honesty, as long as the organisers were happy to run the event, we were going to go. We flew with Turkish Airlines into the Queen Alia Airport in Amman, the capital of Jordan. Kiwis do need a visa to visit Jordan, which can be obtained on arrival. Or you can obtain an e-visa prior to departure, and I would recommend this as it does save time when you get to Jordan. The e-visa process does have a couple of tricky bits and we can help you navigate these. Arrival is speedy and friendly, no doubt assisted by the lack of visitors currently visiting the kingdom. We were met on arrival by the marathon organisers and we were soon on our way for the hour-long journey to the Movenpick Dead Sea Resort, where we would spend the first 2 nights. The resort is vast. It's a 15 to 20 minute walk from the reception to the coast of the Dead Sea. It is of course obligatory to have a float in the Dead Sea and discover all those small cuts you have accrued on your travels. Fortunately, Movenpick staff were on hand to enhance our visit, mixing Dead Sea salt with Dead Sea mud to smear all over our bodies in the hope of benefiting from its ancient medicinal properties. All very messy, but enormously good fun. Having completed the pilgrimage, we set about enjoying the resort. The resort itself is a touch tired. Understandable as investment in this part of the world would be unwise given the current situation. Having said that, the magnificent bar and selection of restaurants were all operational and of a really high standard. We spent our second day here by the pool, delighted by nice touches like chilled watermelon being handed out at various times. After 2 nights here, we took the desert highway to Petra. If you were spending more time in Jordan, I would take the infinitely more scenic King's Highway. Descending through Wadi Musa, we arrived in the magnificent Movenpick Hotel near the entrance to Petra. The hotel immediately impresses with a magnificent atrium ascending skyward. The rooms are nice enough, but a bit bland in comparison. There was a marathon briefing in the afternoon and then dinner at the Movenpick. All focus centred on Kath the following morning, a 4:30 breakfast before we made our way to the start line with the 207 other competitors and 2 spectators. I was officially designated as a spectator, which allowed me to join the competitors at the start and essentially have Petra to myself for a few hours before the public were allowed in. Having watched Kath take off before the famous sea, I then wandered down one of the most famous pathways on the planet to the fabled treasury. Nothing quite prepares you for this. The walls of the Sikhs soar into the sky while the height of the sun determines the colours of the ever-changing red rocks. Arrival at the treasury is as good as it looks in all the movies. Better if you have time to watch the sun make its mark. Take a seat, grab a coffee and marvel. I had a 3-day entry ticket here, so decided not to overdo it all on day 1. Settling for one uphill stroll to the high place for an overview of the area. Thoroughly recommend this. It is a beautiful if sometimes challenging hike, but the view at the top is stupendous. Returning to the main path, I visited some of the royal tombs and made time to marvel at the amphitheatre. Thankfully, Kath completed the marathon and we spent the rest of the afternoon enjoying a very cold beer in the Movenpick bar. Our short walk to the restaurant brought home the abject state of tourism in Jordan. We passed half a dozen restaurants at what would normally be near peak season and not a soul. All were empty. On day 2 of our visit, we joined a guided tour for the runners, which emphasised just how much more you can get out of such excursions. Things I'd walked past the day before were all of a sudden given context. The tour covered many of the areas I had visited the day before and prepared Kath and myself for the other major hike that needs to be completed on any visit, the 800 steps to the monastery. The ascent is made more bearable by the astonishing scenery, with an excellent finale in the monastery itself, arguably the finest sight in Petra. There are several welcome cafes at the summit and several viewpoints to take in the monastery. Our stay at Petra concluded with a meal and entertainment in a carefully selected area on the outskirts of Petra. All good fun. The following morning, a very early start for our transfer back to the Amman airport and our next stop, Malta.